Welcome to Open Campus Soft Skills Course, Module 7, Part 2, Stress Management. In this module, you will learn how to handle stressful situations, and you will also learn effective stress management tips. As a recap, what is stress? Stress is a state of mental tension and worry caused by adverse or very demanding circumstances. What is stress management? Stress management is a set of methods or techniques to help people effectively deal with stress and adversity in life. There are two focus areas that we will center on for stress management: coping mechanisms for stress and handling stressful situations. For part 2 of this module, we will focus on handling stressful situations. One way to handle stressful situations is to avoid confrontation by first maintaining a level of self-awareness, being aware of how other people perceive you, how they interpret things that you say, being aware of your verbal and nonverbal communication, and if it is in alignment with what you're trying to communicate with other people. You want to put yourself in someone else's shoes to see how what you're saying or what you're doing, how it's actually coming across. Is it offensive, or if it's actually the other person? Also, in avoiding confrontations, you certainly want to keep the lines of communication open. If you notice that there's a coworker that is not speaking to you like they normally do, or if you notice that someone is tending to avoid coming around you, it's okay to take the initiative and to be very professional and polite, to just touch bases, and ask if everything is okay, or if they have a moment and if you can talk with them. Remember, it's about avoiding confrontations and doing what you can to keep the lines of communication open with your coworkers as well as your supervisors or your boss. Another thing to do is to think before you speak. We should not always say everything that comes to mind, because sometimes those thoughts may not be the appropriate thoughts to say out loud. You want to really think about and choose your words and choose your mannerisms very carefully before you speak. Also, don't get involved. And that is referring to getting involved with issues or disagreements or confrontations that may be with other coworkers, two different people who have issues going on in the workplace. If it does not pertain to you and your work on the job and what you have come to be responsible for doing, your job duties, it's best to not get involved and certainly to not take sides. Another way to handle stressful situations is timing your communications. And these key areas include identifying the best time to communicate. If there was a disagreement or an argument during a meeting, if you and a coworker just certainly did not decide that you can agree to disagree, and there was some level of tension, you certainly don't want to pick the best time to try to resolve the matter immediately after that particular incident. You want to be able to identify the best time to communicate. Give it a cooling off period. Maybe it's the next morning, maybe it's later that day, but timing is everything when we're trying to handle stressful situations in communication. Also, you want to be able to listen first and speak second. Listen first and speak second. We live in a time where, especially here in Western civilizations, where we're always about speaking, having something to say, or even formulating exactly what we're going to say in response to someone else. When you're trying to time communications, especially in stressful situations, you want to disconnect or resist the temptation to always have something to say or to always start talking immediately. Take the time to listen to the other person's perspective, because in listening, you might be able to find a clue as to where there was a breach or a gap in communication. Next, you want to be able to be short and sweet. When you're timing communications and stressful situations, you want to be brief with what you have to say, but clear. You want to make certain that what you have to say, you're getting right to the point, but you're also having a level of clarity to make certain that everybody is in full understanding of what you're trying to communicate. Next, make it personal. Instead of shooting an email or a text message, face-to-face communication is always ideal. Use appropriate verbal and nonverbal body language. Saying, "Hi, it's so good to see you." And saying, "Hi, it's so good to see you." Same words, sending two totally different meanings, two totally different messages, two totally different forms of communication. So make certain that you're always using appropriate verbal and nonverbal body language, that it's all coming together. What you're saying and what you're doing are in sync with one another. Next, apologize sincerely. If you find that you were in error, that you offended someone without really knowing it and certainly not intending to, be the better person, the bigger person, to acknowledge that you were wrong, that you were inappropriate in your actions, by simply apologizing and saying it in a way that you truly meaning it. Not because someone asked you to apologize, but because it was the right thing to do. And always stay calm and stay focused. If you see that the timing that you thought was ideal to try to communicate in a stressful situation, don't freak out if things blow up out of proportion. Just stay calm and focus on what your true intent was. Perhaps you have to stay calm and focus on thinking about another time or selecting a more appropriate time to try to communicate. Here are some stress management tips that I'd like to share. First, you want to take a moment to breathe. You want to take at least 5 minutes dedicating it daily to breathe, especially when you see that you're in a very tense and anxious situation. I tried to demonstrate earlier about this deep breathing exercise, so I'm going to move back a little so that you can see. You place your hand, one in your abdominal area and one here over your chest. And when you're going through deep breathing exercises, you want to make sure that you're breathing in, you're inhaling and you're exhaling, and that it's coming from your abdomen. So and you're breathing in a way that it is actually your abdomen region and not there's a difference. So dedicate about 5 minutes to going to those deep breathing exercises. Next, meditate. In the first part of this module, we talked about various ways that you can meditate. Exercising regularly or doing yoga is another way to manage your stress. Make time for hobbies that help you to relax. We all have those outlets, those forms of expression that we love to do. Find those hobbies and use them for relaxation. Make a list of the important things you need to handle each day at work, and check those off and focus on those to not get bombarded with extra stuff. Take time to relax every day. You want to learn the art of saying no. That's right. Learn the art of saying no. There are times that you have to put your health, your wellness, your place of sanity and peace ahead of the demands that people are putting on you. So you have to find that balance to be able to say no occasionally. Get the right amount of sleep. You need about 7 to 9 hours of sleep daily. Gain a sense of humor. It's okay to laugh. Sometimes laughing, it's just like it frees you, it releases you from being so tense and so just kind of, wrapped up real tight. It's okay to have a sense of humor. Take action. Don't react to problems. When you take action in stressful situations, you are being proactive. You're thinking about the process of how you're going to handle something. When you react, that's when you say the first thing that comes to your mind. That's when you sometimes explode and just go off the deep end and not really realizing how the things that you're saying, what you're saying, how it's affecting people. And sometimes you regret some of the things that you said because you didn't take the time to take action. You immediately reacted. And lastly, certainly talk to your family and close friends for support. They're there for you if you find that you're having a situation or a particular level of communication on the job is not working as you thought it would. Take a moment, share it with your family and friends, and sometimes others that are close to you might have really good advice when you're using them as your sounding board. This concludes Quiz 7. This concludes Module 7, Part 2. Now you will take Quiz 7, Stress Management. You'll also find some very helpful resources regarding stress management and relaxation.